Hello, and welcome back to Proper Chuffed. I mean, soaked, or something along
That's
those
my
lines.
line. That's my line.
Oh no.
Just roll the
Roll the credits.
Hey guys, welcome back to Proper Chuffed. My name's Hilton, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. But that is half the fun of this, isn't it? Welcome to the autumn update. Well, it's not quite autumn here, it's actually spring. But you know, most of you guys are going through autumn now, so welcome to the autumn update. So much has happened in the past month, and I know I've not uploaded a video for a while, and I really needed to take a little bit of time and step back from YouTube a little bit, as I've been starting a new job, and it's come with all sorts of different challenges along the way. But we are back, and as I said, there's so much to talk about. So today we're going to cover all the new announcements, of which there are a fair few. We're going to look at some new arrivals, catch up on Dunroman, where it stands, and talk about future plans for the layout, and do a little bit of general housekeeping. I mean, not like housekeeping, this is not going to be boring, I hope anyways, but we've got a fair bit to cover. So do grab yourself a cup of tea, or a whiskey if that's more your speed. Sit back, kick your feet up, and enjoy. It's really, really good to be back in front of the camera, and to be very honest with you, I really needed this time off. As I mentioned, I've started a new job. Now, of course, I'm probably not going to be telling you what that job is, but it has been a massive shift in my life, obviously. Like any new job, there's a lot to learn, and I've been really trying to focus my efforts on putting everything I have into the job, understanding it, and getting up to speed to perform at my best. However, with my new job, there have been a couple small perks. Now, you may have noticed from the intro, I was in England just the other day. I was fortunate enough to be flown over by my company to our UK offices and conduct a week of work there. So, of course, naturally, I took the opportunity to go see a railway and meet up with a very good friend of mine. But more on that later. But to be honest with you, that break was more than just about work. It also came down to YouTube and content creation. For the first time in my almost 2 years on YouTube, I really felt like I hit a wall a couple weeks ago. I was busy decorating some landscape and suddenly thought to myself, this feels like work. And that's not quite the place I want to be in when I'm working on this hobby. I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it is a hobby and it should be enjoyable. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this. But I think I was just really at the end of my string when it came to my previous job. And with all the anxiety of starting a new job, I really felt quite compounded and stretched quite thin. So I took a little bit of a break, and that really did my soul good. Because the moment that this hobby starts feeling like a job, I know I've done something wrong and I've overextended myself. Beyond just model railways, there's also the YouTube aspect of it, and I can tell you it takes a lot of time putting together videos, doing the editing, re-recording things. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I mess up a sentence when I'm speaking to a camera. So there's a lot of outtakes, a lot of editing, and a lot of time that goes into it, and it all just kind of compounded, and I just felt a little bit tired. So this break has been a welcome one, but I've come back from the UK more fired up than ever and ready to continue. Now, this video is a little bit late for it, but a couple weeks ago I got some news that I had been nominated for the Hornby Magazine Awards 2025 in the YouTube Layout Builder of the Year award. To be honest with you, this completely caught me off guard. I certainly consider myself one of these smaller channels, and the fact that I had even been recognized to that point really just fired me up even more. It is a huge honor to be recognized on a platform like that. Some random bloke down here at the bottom of the world in South Africa getting nominated for an amazing award like Hornby Magazine is honestly, like, I just don't really have any words for it. I'm flummoxed, confused, but very grateful. And it shows that you guys obviously enjoy what I do, and while I tend to doubt myself every step of the way, clearly something's working and you guys are enjoying it. So I just want to say thank you very much. The votes are closed at this point, but if you did vote for me, thank you so much. I certainly have no fear of winning the award, as I'm stacked up with some pretty amazing modelers, but the fact that I'm recognized in that category alone is honestly just phenomenal, and I'm very happy, and I do feel a huge sense of pride for it. So you guys have made the channel what it is, so thank you for that, because without you, I wouldn't be getting nominated for an award. So thanks. Right, so let's talk about these announcements, because while I was away, apparently they just opened the Scottish model railway floodgates and announced pretty much everything. Let's start off with the Rapido Highland Loch class. Now, this one made a lot of sense, and I was just over the moon to see it happening, because the tender is obviously the same as the Jones Goods. The fact that Rapido have tackled the Loch class, fantastic news. I've already got 3 of them on pre-order. In fact, my pre-order list from Rails right now is looking dreadful. My wallet is terrified and it's absolutely quivering, as I'm sure all of us are too, who are invested in this type of modeling. Then we have the D40s, and I'm just like, guys, slow down, please. I'm only recovering now from the Loch announcements. And they're like, here you go, Gordon Highlander, let's go. So another 3 pre-ordered in different liveries, and I'm looking forward to those too. Now, it is a huge concern for me at this point that all of these locomotives arrive one after the other, like literally within a couple of months of each other, because that would be devastating, I think, to all of us who are invested in this model format. I sincerely hope that Rapido are going to stagger out these releases, because to be honest with you, it's a bit much. I don't want to say there's too much of a good thing. I'm so grateful to see these locomotives coming to market. But if you could just stagger it out a little bit, guys, that would be super cool. We all need time to recover, and we all need to eat at some point. Then Bachmann announced the Cali tank. Now, this one I kind of knew was coming. Regardless, it's fantastic to see it come to life, and in so many different liveries too. Still, much like the Cali 812, it's fantastic to see Bachmann picking it up as well. It seems like Bachmann have kind of handled the Caledonian stuff, whereas Rapido are kind of tackling everything else. Although, that being said, there's the 123 from Rapido. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot that exists as well. We have so much coming. We are eating so well as Scottish modelers. And I really do feel like we're going through a bit of a renaissance right now, and we're certainly going to be seeing a lot more prototype Scottish layouts, which is fantastic. But Scotland is getting a right treat with all of these announcements. I'd love to know which ones you guys have ordered out of the myriad of announcements. Drop them in the comments below and let's chat about them. I think I've probably got about 3 of each. Except the Cali tank. I think we're going to go for the current sort of preserved blue, and then the Cavalcade blue. So I'll probably get 2 of those. Haven't decided on those just yet. But the rest, I think I've got about 3 of each, which is just crazy. And then on top of that, there's of course the Glens, which are coming. And I think I've got 4 or 5 Glens on order. So there's a lot coming, guys. Share this video with your friends so that I can make a little bit more money and afford them. But yes, a Scottish model railway renaissance, and I mean, I don't think there's a better time to be alive and modeling Scottish than right now. So, as I mentioned, I was able to head off to the UK on a work trip, and I treated it very much as so. However, I did arrive early on the Sunday leading into the work week, and I was able to meet up with Dan from Pedantic Mongrels Railway Channel. And we met up, had a coffee, and headed out to the Chinnor and Princess Risborough Railway. This is a railway I've never heard of, but Dan really wanted to see an S160. And of course, who am I to deny him or myself the opportunity to see something in action? So off we went on a very rainy Sunday and spent the day on the railway behind the S160 and an 03 shunter. Dan had hoped that we'd be seeing a 37 in action, but unfortunately it was the 03, though regardless, I was very happy to ride behind something I've not done before. It was a really sort of weird, surreal thing because I got on a plane, I didn't sleep much, arrived in London, met Dan, and suddenly we were at a heritage railway. It just felt like something out of a strange sort of dream. But a great day all in all. And of course it was great to meet Dan and have the smell of steam sort of fill my lungs once again.
He's out, yeah. Oh no! We missed it.
Oh shit!
You just have to come again, Hill.
Guess I will. Anyways, that was the last train of the day. The weather has turned super grim, but Dan has very kindly picked me up in London as we have come out here to, where are we again?
Princess Risborough.
Princess Risborough.
Risborough.
And it's actually been an amazing Sunday. I'm here for a week of work, so this is not me on holiday, but Dan managed to come all the way up from, where did you come from?
Kent.
Kent.
Yes.
Dan managed to come up from Kent. Cheers, thank you so much. And yeah, we've just kind of been exploring and doing a bunch of cool stuff. Dan brought me some locos, of course. Couldn't be a trip to the UK without.
And I discovered that you're taller than you look on camera.
There you go. You heard it here first. I'm taller than I look. I look short on camera. Anyways, we're going back to London. We're going to go back to Wetherspoons, have a beer, and call it a day, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been really cool though. Thank you very much for bringing me out here, Dan. It was great to see some steam and a little bit of diesel, tiny diesel.
Tiny diesel.
But we've had a really good time. So yeah, anyways, you'll probably see me next when I'm back in my model railway room.
Now talk about making hay while the sun shines. I of course made a plan with my dear friend in Scotland to have some stuff delivered to me in London so that I could take it home in my bag and avoid all the import fees. So I came back with a very stacked bag full of loads of new models that I'd been sort of piling up and waiting to ship over. So you may notice that the wall behind me is changing over time with different locomotives coming in and out of the display. I made a conscientious decision about 3 or 4 months ago to start trying to part away with locomotives that really weren't fitted to my West Highland scene. But the thinking is, and perhaps one of my biggest regrets coming into this hobby, and I will go into this at some point, is that essentially when I got in and I was excited and I had a little bit of spare cash to burn, I basically bought anything that interested me. And frankly speaking, that was a huge mistake, because now that I've sort of narrowed my focus on the Scottish scene, I've ended up with a lot of locomotives that really don't suit it at all, and I've barely run in 2 years. So I was also able to take a couple of those across with me and then send them off to the likes of Clark Railworks for a trade-in, and then make a concerted effort to use that cash towards purchases that are a little bit more fitted to my layout and channel. And I came back from the UK with a couple really cool additions. And I think the first and most exciting is the Accurascale Class 92 Caledonian Sleeper 92010 and a set of the Lowlander coaches. Now, these were very kindly sold to me by my good friend Bill, who happened to have a spare set lying around. Of particular note, 92010 is the very same locomotive that took Annie and I from Edinburgh down to Euston in London. So it's kind of cool to have the very same engine and coach set that we traveled on, and I am absolutely blown away by the quality of these. Now, I'll probably do a video on the 92 and the Cali Sleeper set from Accurascale in the next couple weeks, because they've just announced the next batch of 92s, and I suspect strongly that we're going to get another set of Mark 5s on the way too from Accurascale. So it may be a good time to re-look at them, perhaps with some fresh eyes, and see what they're all about. But I can tell you right off the bat, I am absolutely blown away. This is an incredible set, And if, like me, you're doing something like a Scottish layout or anywhere where the Cali sleeper might pass through, this is one to have. Now, the elephant in the room is that no, I do not have any catenary on Dun Roman, and yet I still have a 92 running around. To be honest, we have to make a couple concessions here and there, but for the sake of realism, I picked up something else. Now here's a model that I've been looking to get my hands on for quite some time, a Class 67 in Caledonian sleeper livery. And it made a lot more sense to me to sort of tap this onto my purchase to have some diesel traction to fit the scene in Dun Roman, as we of course don't have any electric overhead wires. That's not to say the 92 won't see action. One day, when Dun Roman expands, I certainly plan on doing just that and having some overhead wires. But for now, at least I've got it, and to be honest with you, it looks absolutely beautiful running around my layout. The second sort of large purchase that I made recently was a different version of the Highland Railway Jones Goods. I reached out to Dan, who put me in touch with Mark from the Wagon Yard, who was able to sell me a version of the Highland Railway Jones Goods in the green that I had always wanted. Now, you may remember from my Highland Jones video that I had actually planned on getting two, the original sort of yellow and most popular one, as well as the Highland Green. Unfortunately, funds did not permit, but recently I was able to finally secure one sound fitted, and oh boy, does it look the part. On top of that, Dan very kindly sourced some private owner wagons and North British wagons to go with my Highland Railway Jones Goods. And you can see them here in action, and it's really starting to look like a fantastic and authentic train. There are, of course, a few other additions to all of this, including, no surprises, a Class 37 or 2 or 3, but we'll touch on those more in the future, although I'm very happy to have them. I also managed to nab a diesel shunter that I've been looking for quite some time, a Clayton Class 17. And I'm yet to test her and put her through much work, but she seems a solid little machine, and I'll certainly be taking a closer look at that in the future. I also managed to finally procure an ESU sound profile for my HN Rail Class 37, 37405. On top of that, I grabbed the Acura Scale Acura Thrash bass speaker and installed that into the locomotive, and well, I'll let the video speak for itself. This is the more modern sound profile for the 37, the refurbished one as they call it, and it sounds absolutely beastly. The addition of the enhanced bass speaker really has changed my perception of sound and sound profiles on locomotives. And as such, I've made an order of some of the new Hornby enhanced bass speakers to see how much we can improve the HM7000 existing sounds. So stand by for a video on those in a couple weeks' time. With all of these locomotives, I've become increasingly aware of just how difficult it is to navigate the current DCC system that I'm using. And I've made a very big decision to change my DCC system. Now, you may know that I was on a Roco Z21, and if you didn't, now you know. But I'm not on a Roco Z21 anymore. Times are changing at Dunroman, and I am looking forward to having something that's a little bit more manageable with the rather large collection of locomotives that I'm building up. So I've decided to make the shift to ESU, the ECOS system. It is currently on order, so I'm waiting for it to arrive, but I've sold off my Z21 and I'll be looking forward to going through a new phase in my DCC control with the ECOS. That's not to say that the Z21 is a bad system, by no means at all. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But my reasoning is, one, I don't like scrolling through pages and pages and pages of locomotives using the mouse system. And two, I actually don't like using the phone app. Why, you ask? Because the phone app is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's not tactile. I like the ability to turn buttons and dials and feel like I'm really controlling a train as opposed to sliding my finger up and down on a mobile app and controlling speeds and functions using that. So after a lot of research, I think the ESU ECOS really does seem like more my speed and the environment I want to be in. I've also picked up an ESU lock programmer so I can start programming my own ESU decoders. I won't lie, I have no idea how this thing works, but I'm going to learn, and hopefully in a couple months' time I'll be able to tell you exactly what to do with it. Because I find the world of DCC sound super interesting, and I'm looking forward to exploring it a lot more in future. So let's talk about the layout. Right, so let's talk about Dunroman and where it currently stands. If you've been following my videos, you'll know that the northern side of Dunroman is mostly complete at this point, and we've been sort of slowly shifting towards the southern end as time has gone on, and we'll continue doing so in the next couple videos. However, I have had some thoughts about all of this. One of them being this particular short and very narrow stretch of track, which sort of serves as the main scenery of Dunroman. I'm planning to extend it by roughly 20 centimeters going outwards towards sort of my work desk space going forwards. So ideally you're looking at this section here probably being about, I guess 20 centimeters longer or wider, so that I can perhaps detail this station section a little bit more, add a few more bits and bobs that might make it a bit more interesting. Space is always going to be a limitation when it comes to model railways, and this room is no exception to that. I've done my best to utilize it as best as possible, but the reality is Dunroman can only become so big. So what happens after Dunroman? Well, that question's been on my mind quite a bit recently, as Annie and I have been looking at sort of moving out from this house that we're currently in and finding our own place to settle down in. I have grand plans in my head as to where the future of Proper Chuffed and model railway layouts goes, but for now I'm a little bit limited, and until that actually happens, once Dunroman's done, what next? Well, I'm happy to announce that I've kind of made a plan, and what I'm hoping to do is create much smaller modular little bits of layout, one at a time, one scene at a time, based on real life examples. One of the things I kind of drives me a little bit mad about Dunroman is that it's not really based on anything real. And while it's great to use your imagination in a situation like this, this is the second layout I've built that's not really based on any one particular thing. And to be honest with you, I want to start exploring modeling that is based on real-world examples. So I'm happy to announce that my first real-world build and modular layout will be the Arachar and Tarbet timber sidings. I love the idea of working around a particular industry, and obviously timber was quite big in the West Highlands. So we'll be dialing it all the way back to the late 1970s and early 1980s as we tackle Arachar and Tarbet. But first things first, we're going to finish off the southern side of Dunroman and then of course move on to the distillery. But just to give you a little bit of a roadmap, you now know that there is a plan and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too, because I intend to make this a really authentic, realistic diorama of something that really does exist. I've got Scottish model railways in my blood. I cannot get rid of it, and while I certainly would like to explore some other parts of the UK or even somewhere else in the world, for now, my focus is Scotland, and I think, to be honest with you, it really will always be the backbone of this channel. One day in the near future, I'll definitely be building a South African modular layout in some way, shape or form, as I know that many people are super interested in what that would entail. But I thought it would be nice to give you guys a kind of outline of future project, where my head's at and where I think this will all go in the future. Obviously, with the announcement of all these fantastic older Scottish locomotives, there's probably a little bit more room to build a modular layout that's sort of set in time, so to speak. So we might explore that too at some point. But for now, let's focus on finishing Dunroman and then we'll tackle the next project. September of 2025 marked my 2-year anniversary of being on YouTube. And with 7,000 subscribers under my belt, I could not be more proud. It is a huge privilege to be able to share my journey, and the fact that you guys enjoy it really does mean the whole world to me. I would of course just like to thank my Westies who go above and beyond to support the channel and me on my journey in this hobby, though I do thank every single one of you who subscribed or even just liked or watched one of my videos. It means a whole lot. So thank you to Annie, Mystic Brick, Simon Thompson, Bill from 3B Rail, Jersey Bill, Tony from Choberton Junction, Derek L, James from the Little Western Railway, Dan from Pedantic Mongols Railway Channel, Chugwater Jack, Clagfest, Tim, Valleys 5600, Rob from the Kiln Line, Sam from Empress Path, Johnny from the 62C Workbench, Phil from PN Trains, Steve Room, Zach from 71D Productions, Joachim Bengston, Scott Wood, Rod Pethrick, Hogsmeade Branch Line, Tim Krinsky, Rob's Rails, St. Blazy Model World, Jonathan Regazzoni, Ratmat RC, Dylan Somerville, and some new joiners, Aaron Douglas, Kraus Rails, Lydia Somerville, Martin, and Luke Jackson. Welcome guys, it's so great to have you on board with the Westies. We've got some more exciting arrivals coming in this week, so next week we're probably going to take a look at one of those, but then we'll be back to building and our usual programming. I hope you enjoyed the autumn/spring updates. It's great to be back in front of the camera and to see all of you guys again. Until I see you next time, which will be very soon, keep your engines fired and of course, stay on track. All the best.